Hello, everyone. Welcome again. This is Mileidy and Iris in another session with us. And today we are going to talk about what is the topic today, Mileidy?
Recovery. We're going to talk a little bit about substance abuse, but we're going to talk about recovery and staying away from stigma. So I really want to start out, and I'm going to pull up a page. Hold on one second. You guys know that I love to share my screen right now. But it says on here, can you guys see my screen?
I can see it.
You can see it? Okay.
I can see it.
And it says on here, recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential.
Reach and to succeed.
Reach to succeed, yes. But recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. When I
self-directed life.
Self-directed life, right? We think about anytime, at least in my world of mental health, substance abuse, and in this world, we always think of recovery in the sense of substance abuse and people who use different substances that may not be doing too well. But recovery's definition is so much more broad than that, right? Recovery is a process of change. It's a process. It's not and I don't want to take away from AA or NA or any of those amazing groups of people that are trying to help, but recovery is that process, and we're all recovering from something. Because
I'm recovering. I am a recovered relationship, toxic relationship abuse. Yes. I am a recovered toxic relationship abuse. Years and years of being in a toxic relationship. So that is
we're all
as impactful as any other thing. Sorry.
No, and that's beautiful. And that's the point. Like sometimes with recovery, we're all in the path of recovery. But then when somebody says, I'm in recovery, there's a stigma to that, right? There's a stigma. And I work also in human resources. And if, sometimes people may say, I'm in recovery. And you may see some people's faces go, oh.
Exactly.
They were addicted to something, or they were blah, blah, blah. And they use these words that can be so hurtful and stigmatizing. And imagine if there was a stigma, and I think there is, but imagine if there was no stigma to getting rid of a bad relationship. Imagine if there was no stigma in eating sweets, right? Or stopping from eating sweets. Or imagine if there was no stigma in these things that all of us could be addicted to. And I'm going to quote unquote addicted because I don't like that word. But in these things that we use, right? Wouldn't you have gotten out of that relationship quicker, Iris? Wouldn't you have gotten out of that relationship quicker if there was no relationship?
Oh my God. I met this person that says that when she married, the first time the spouse abused her physically. When someone abuses you physically, it's because the emotional abuse has been going on for a while, for the most part. 99, unless he abused you on the first day that they met, right?
That you met.
Mm-hmm. And when she experienced this, she went to her father because she didn't want to be there. And the father says, you married this person, you have to be with him, and you have to do what he asks you because he's the man. That's what she got from her own father. 25 years later, we are still in this abuse because, like you said,
there's a stigma. So recovery, to me, is it's the process of change, but it's also separating yourself from that stigma and saying, no, this is what I need for my self-direction. Self-directed.
And it goes back to self-love.
Self-love.
Self-directed must. Exactly.
It all touches each other, right? And that piece of getting to know yourself is so important. That piece of getting to know who you are and then looking at the stigma, whatever the stigma is, and saying, I don't care if I'm labeled a past XYZ, a past user,
a toxic relationship,
a toxic relationship person, a person who's been abused. There's stigma sometimes over people who have been abused. And it's like, why? Why is there a stigma when people are actually getting out of a negative situation? Right? And it's the stigma
Why?
of saying, I was in a negative situation. Why? We're all sometimes in a situation that's not right. And that's why that point of recovery, that the definition of recovery is so wide that every single person, I don't care. And I would love to do a full study on this, but I think everybody's in recovery from something when you read the definition itself.
We all
Um,
in recovery from something, whether it's from sugar, whether it's from smoking, whether it's from relationship, we are
yeah,
all recovering.
recovering from negative thoughts. How many people are, at least I've helped, and I've worked with this myself. I'm still in recovery over sometimes my negative gremlins that go along in my head, right? And I'm still at times in that process of changing through and stopping those little gremlins since they're not helpful, right? And so I want to also discuss, and again, this was written more for substance use, right? And it's going to be the 4 stages of addiction, which sounds really fancy. But again, let's take out a little bit of the substance part of it and putting whatever you're recovering from. And so I want to share my screen one more time to show you this one. Let me know if you can see it.
Chemical pleasure, chemical
Yes,
coping, chemical
yes,
bandage,
yes. I'm
vibrant
vibrant recovery.
recovery.
So chemical pleasure, when we're doing something we love, even if it's a relationship, at the beginning of a relationship, that usually, like you said, Iris, the abuse doesn't
Euphoria.
start day one, right? Abuse doesn't start day one. Abuse starts a little bit later on because there's a lot of abuse could start day one, but it's emotional abuse and it's a lot of faking from one person, right? But that
Uh-huh.
chemical pleasure that that other person feels, right? Those endorphins in your body that are just being taken out, all
Mm-hmm.
that is coming out, and that's the chemical pressure. And so what happens is we start coping through that. We start coping through our relationship. We start coping with our relationship with blank. Let it be alcohol, substances, boyfriend, girlfriend, eating too much sugar, watching too much TV, playing too many video games, right? It becomes, I need to cope.
Sex.
Sex, definitely. I need to cope by doing this thing. Then it becomes chemical bondage when we feel like if we don't have that one thing, then things are not going to be okay. And this is when you're in the weeds, like they say, you're in the tough part when you're in chemical bondage because you want to
The
step away. You
addiction.
realize it's not healthy. You realize it's not good for you. But there's all these other things that have happened that keep you bonded. And
The
then the fourth,
feelings, the
yeah,
feelings that prove that's oh.
yeah, no, definitely, I love that address. But yeah, is that feeling? Is that part of you that's like, I want to get out, but I need this, or I must
Yeah.
be here, or I have to get stuck with this. And then you have the vibrant recovery when you really learn to love yourself, when you really learn what do I need, and how is this not working out for me, and
And
how
it's
is it,
painful.
and how painful this is for me. And again, it does not matter whatever that, I'm going to quote unquote substance here, but whatever that is that at first gave you that chemical pleasure and that increase of endorphins and those happy feelings, now it's not working anymore. Now it's just I feel bonded to it in a very negative way and I can't get rid of it. When we're in vibrant recovery, it's remembering, okay, there's other things that can give me my endorphins step up, right? There's healthier ways. And that's when we talk about coping skills. And that's when we talk about all these other things, right? But with vibrant recovery, is remembering to center and come back to present and come back to you, what you need for you, and then going on into your vibrant recovery. And then taking away that stigma. And I'm going to jump to one more slide really fast. And again, this is addiction. In this case, we're talking about substance use addiction. So I'm sure if we talk about all the other types of addictions out there, this number would be so much higher than 120 million. There's people who are coping with whatever they're doing at first. And then there's people that are just in a horrible place where they need help. And these are the people who are actively, clinically using help, and they're getting all the help that they need, hopefully. And then there's the people here in recovery. And what happens a lot of times is these two, oops, sorry, my bad. These two sets of people are sometimes ignored. These people get a lot of help. This is when you start seeking the help yourself, right? This is when you call that therapist, you call that coach, and you start seeking the help. But it's remembering the people in this part of the curve and this part of the curve, which could be you watching us right now. You may be on this part or this part of the curve of, I may have a problem, but I don't know what to do. And my goal is that nobody gets to this point before they seek help. And my goal is for those
That's
people who
very
are
hard.
here, you start seeking help now. And for those people who are here, you continue with getting help, with looking at videos, with looking at people talking about positive things. And then my goal for all of these people, but definitely on these two groups, is to lower the stigma of people looking at you weird. And if you have a stigma, if you stigmatize people who XYZ, if somebody told you I do crocodile and I was really addicted to crocodile, not having that, oh, you did that, ugh, right? Not having that reaction, but coming to it with acceptance and saying, wow, that's part of your story. And thank you for sharing it with me. And how are you feeling now? What do you need? And it may not even be anything they need. They may just be sharing, I got out of a really bad relationship. Wow, thank you for telling me. I'm honored that you feel comfortable sharing your story with me. How are you feeling? What did you learn from it? Talking about it without the stigma, even without the what can I do to help you, and without the sympathy, but actually coming to it from a place of empathy. What have you learned from it, right? Where are you at now? Tell me your story. Taking away that stigma of that was bad. Because I mean, we've talked about it in other videos, Iris, the bad concept, right?
The bad
Situations,
concept.
the bad situations are situations. Life is all about situations.
We all go through life, and whatever we experience, if it's labeled bad before or after, it's because we did what we knew what to do.
Exactly. And we're giving it that label.
Exactly. I want to mention something though about the recovery part, whatever place you find yourself, whether it's in the beginning or at that stage when you look back and you said, this is not the life that I want. That's not an easy place to be either. It's going to be very painful because the chemical disbalance that
Mhm.
created want that life. Your mind has a hard time changing. There's a part of you that resists changing. It becomes comfortable with suffering.
Mhm.
And coming out of that stage is not an easy place. That's why seeking help is so imperative because it's easy to go back and fall back down to that hole. Please know that you are not alone. Please
Mhm.
know that we are not stating here that it's going to be an easy ride and that it will be peaches and roses when you become aware that the life that you are going through is not the one you want for you or for your family, but it's the beginning. And if you continue to persist despite the pain that is going to cost you, and reach out to the people that are going to be there to support you and help you pick up when you fall down, you will succeed. Oh my God, we got back to persisting until we succeed.
But that is life. No, and we said it in that conversation as well, right? Persisting is part of life. And it's
Yeah,
recognizing, like you said, it may not be an easy ride, but again, at this point, we're giving it that connotation, right? It's gonna be different.
it's gonna be
Because it's different doesn't mean it's bad.
exactly.
Because it's different does not mean it's bad. So if as you're starting to change, you see, oh, this is bad, change it up and say, this is different and this is good.
And
This is,
because it's painful doesn't mean it's bad either.
of course, of course.
Some pain are really good pain. Like for instance, the pain when you're recovering from a substance abuse, going back to a topic in Liz, that is very painful. But it's a good pain because it's the transition from the addicted mind to the healthy mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you are cooking and you put your hands on the stove and you feel that pain, that's a good pain because it's alerting you so you can remove your hands from that stuff. So recovering is not easy. And the pain doesn't mean it's bad. It means that you are
Exactly.
in the right path.
Yes, there's a beautiful story, really quick. There's a beautiful story. There was this family and they saw a little caterpillar, a little cocoon, little chrysalis.
I love that.
You love the
I
story,
love
okay?
that.
And
Oh,
so they see
God.
the chrysalis and they see the butterfly, it's trying to cut out of it, right? And it's struggling, struggling, struggling. And it finally breaks free and it flies away. And the family's like, oh my gosh. And then there's another one sitting next to it and it's starting to struggle. And the family says, oh, I feel bad. It's going to struggle so hard. Let me just help and cut the cocoon out so the butterfly can come out. So they
Oh,
cut
no.
the cocoon and the butterfly comes out, but it dies really fast.
Of
Why?
course.
Of course it dies fast, right? Because as they look it up, they realize that the struggle to get out is what gave that caterpillar and that cocoon and that butterfly the strength of the wings so that then you'll be able to fly and survive. So
Oh,
sometimes we
no.
go through painful things to survive, to learn how to live. And we don't always have to go through horrendous pain, but it is a struggle to change at times because we give it that world. I'm sure if we talk to the butterfly's like, oh no, I just have to go through this process to get out and I'm fine. Um, it's a little weird, but I'm doing it, right? Making sure that we stop giving the pain of change and the discomfort of change a bad word, a bad connotation. Giving it as different and giving it as growth, because that's what's going to keep us persisting and going
How
forward.
I love that. How about we change, if we start changing the word from bad to a challenge?
Challenge.
I've been challenged by life. I've
Yes.
been challenged by life at this moment. I need to say something about the butterfly because this is something that brought me to tears not too long ago when I learned this.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that when the caterpillar, which I didn't know it was a butterfly before it becomes a butterfly. Oh my God, the story that I have about the caterpillar. I didn't know that when the caterpillar becomes transformed in the cocoon, it liquefies itself inside the cocoon. And from that liquid stage, the transformation happens. Imagine us liquefying ourselves in the mother's womb before we become human. So the butterfly, before it becomes a butterfly, is in a liquid form, and when it's born out of the cocoon, imagine if the caterpillar resists that liquid, that
Liquefying.
process, right? Liquefying itself. Imagine, imagine this. That would be the end of the caterpillar, right? No butterfly.
Nobody.
But it goes through the transformation. It becomes a butterfly, and the danger doesn't end there. When it's born, the wings are still wet and is now at the mercy of time. So this wing will dry before someone comes and eats her. The butterfly story is such an amazing story and an example of what life is all about. Life will never give up on you and will continue pushing you through the pain and the suffering so you can become who you are.
And it's really about recovery to think about it. When you're going through that painful stage of change, doesn't it feel like your whole life is liquefying? Doesn't it feel
Oh
like your
my
whole life
God.
is just turning apart?
Ah,
And then you rebuild into this,
ah.
right? So remember, if you need the help out there, please seek it out. If you need positivity, look for it. There's positivity out there. Keep looking for it.
Everywhere.
Stigma, no stigma, I do not care. And when you hear somebody doing or saying something that's stigmatizing and you feel not okay about it, even if it's not regarding you, talk to them and let them know that's not cool. Because the only way stigma is going to stop is if we approach those people who are being stigmatizing and saying, don't like that, because it's a learning process for that person as well. They're stigmatizing for
Exactly.
some reason too. So it's a learning process for them. I don't judge them for stigmatizing, but I do want to teach them. So teach those as well that may be stigmatizing others, because it's coming from a place of pain or not knowledge or fear. So teach them, don't stigmatize. And remember, we're all in recovery from something. And if you are in recovery from something, good job, because you're in recovery, you're doing it, you're taking those steps. If you're not yet in recovery and you're in that middle portion of just way too much turmoil, you can do it. Keep persisting until you succeed.
We
And
love you. We are here to support you.
we're here to support you and we love you, definitely. What did you think about this video? Like, comment, subscribe.
Let us
Let us know
know.
what you're thinking. Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you're thinking. And we'll see you next time. Love you.